now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and TJ. And this week we're diving into one of my favorites. This may be one of my picks as well, but I know Kellen is a fan as well. At least I think. We're talking about, obviously, 2002's Signs, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, and more. This is a movie that you should be familiar with at this point in life, but if not, everything that Farmer Graham Hess assumed about the world is changed when he discovers a message, an intricate pattern of circles and lines carved into his crops. As he investigates the unfolding mystery, what he finds will forever alter the lives of his brother and children. This is from 2002. This is 2026, but spoilers are ahead.
Well, I first watched this film, I believe, with my dad and my cousin in the theater when it first come out. And, you know, I was on the M. Night train at this point. He had Sixth Sense, he had Unbreakable. I loved both of those films. This was his very next follow-up. Uh, so he already had a lot of momentum. He was trying to be like the next Hitchcock. This was before he started getting really gimmicky with all of his like his PR leading up to movies. That would really happen with the next film, The Village, which kind of pissed me off, some of their marketing for that. But I liked, when I first saw this, I liked most of the movie until the ending. And then the whole thing where, everything has a purpose, and the one thing, his dead wife who's just like being held together by a car against a tree before her whole body severs. She just says a bunch of random stuff, and one of them is to see, to Mel Gibson's character, and to Joaquin Phoenix's character to swing away because he was a high school and minor league baseball star, and they just happened to keep a baseball bat uh, from one of his records in the living room on a plaque. That all just, as an 18-year-old, I think when I first watched this, that all just seemed a little too perfect. But as a 41-year-old watching this, and having previously had a podcast that revolved around synchronicities and stuff like that, I don't know, I viewed it differently. Uh, all the stuff kind of coming together. First, before I get into like how I think of it now, let's go back to basics. This was early on in Joaquin Phoenix's really becoming a person of note. He really had to break out, and he was, as a teenager, he was River Phoenix's brother. He was in things, but his first real breakout was in Gladiator. And then this was just 2 years later. So this was still just kind of where you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy's face. What have I seen him in? But before, you really knew to look on IMDb to figure it out. So he was still up and coming. This was, at that point in time, probably one of the least Mel Gibson-y roles Mel Gibson had ever been in, because he was usually like the action cop guy, or the Mad Max and the desert guy, or he was like the romantic lead and a romantic comedy guy. You didn't really see him being the and he was raised basically by uh or very much so. I've heard interviews with him where like a Catholic priest kind of took him in, become kind of like a father figure. So that is definitely big in his life. Obviously, he would come out a couple years later with Passion of the Christ, and they're making a sequel to that now, which is wild. Um, so
Family Guy
uh,
did that, didn't they?
they
This was
did.
this was kind of like his first retirement in a way as an actor. He took a break, but he came back. But this was like an 8-year gap after this movie.
I've never seen The Passion of the
Really?
Christ, but I did have a legal copy on DVD way back in the day when you could burn DVDs. So,
That's a movie I will only ever watch the one time I watched it because it was just so brutal, almost obscenely so, like for no particular reason. Um, well, I understand the point of it. It's just, it's really hard to get into a movie where you're just torturing Jesus for 2 hours. Um, Regardless what you think of Jesus, even if you replace somebody else in that, I wouldn't love a movie of torturing anybody for just 2 hours
yeah, it's
for
called
the
Beaten to
sake of it.
Death. It's
Well, right, and I will
Yeah,
never watch
and you
that
saw
movie
that
again.
shit in theaters.
I did, and I'm not gonna watch it again either. Yeah, so this is kind of the weird outlier I feel like in Mel Gibson's career, and this was like John said. I knew he did have a significant gap there. I didn't realize it was that long, but yeah, it was like he did an M. Night movie and then he just went away for the better part of a decade. He made The Passion of the Christ.
What a twist.
Right, and then he become like a director more so. He made Apocalypto a couple years after that. I mean, he started making movies not even in English. He just had that wild kind of 10-year gap there where I'm just going to direct movies not in English and not star in any of them. Um, but this was kind of like his last like subtle hurrah as like a dramatic lead and kind of a very small centered story. Initially, they wanted this story apparently to just all take place very claustrophobically in the farmhouse and never really go outside it except for the cornfields, which for the majority of the movie, they do that. But I think uh, as I was watching some of the DVD extras, which were actually really good, um, Knight said that the scene where they all go out into town and all kind of split up, that's basically where you get all of their motivations and all their backstories all in one scene. So he kind of did that to kind of divide and conquer and get you further invested into the characters quicker, which I thought was a good way to do that. And it also kind of exposed, oh, well, not only are they just kind of isolated in this little farmhouse, but it's also a little farm town with, that little small town vibe where everybody's kind of, everybody, but also it's that weird isolation kind of feel. It's like the town I grew up in, it's like you know who people are, but it's also just kind of small and isolated. And if somebody just wanted to take it off the map one day, it probably wouldn't be all that hard to do. Um, so I think the tension in this film's really good. Um, they chose very well for their child actors. This was before anybody knew who Abigail Breslin was. This was the other Culkin kid, Rory Culkin, who'd later come up in the genre film Scream 4, which, some people hate that, some people love it. But he was good, I think, in it. He was in a very good movie a couple years after this called Mean Creek. A lot of people sleep on. Very good, little tight thriller. Um, but yeah, all the Culkin brothers can act. People kind of slept on that. They thought that Macaulay was the one, the one, and then other his Kieran. Kieran's the one in Severance, right? He's the one winning all the awards now. But don't sleep on all the Culkin brothers. Rory was a good
Succession.
Secession.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
Scott Pilgrim, which we referenced last.
That's true. He was also in that.
He was perfect in that. He was the most
kick
perfect
him in the
person.
balls.
Yeah, so all the Culkin kids are good actors. Abigail Breslin, uh, she's always been a good actor. I think she had a weird phase there for a while, kind of like the kid from The Sixth Sense did, Haley Joel Osment, where it was like the transition from being the kid actor to being the adult actress. It's, sometimes a rough transition when people just see you as that really good kid actor. Uh, but she's a great actress now. She was a great kid actress. Um, Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, he'd go on to win an Oscar 3 years later for Walk the Line, and has done so many excellent performances. Mel Gibson, I feel like this was giving Mel Gibson more to do than he had classically done, because usually he just has the one-liners and had to be the charismatic cop guy or whatever. I mean, the Lethal Weapon franchise and the Mad Max franchise, that he was able to kind of skirt on that for years and just play some version of one of those two characters basically. Um, so this was a big swing for him. A Catholic priest who's lost his faith because he lost his wife to a tragic, seemingly out of nowhere for no reason kind of thing that happens all the time. Um, but then bringing that all back around, and I feel a lot different for 24 years later coming back to it than I did when I first watched it. Bringing all that around and showing that everything happens for a reason. There are no such thing as coincidence, which is actually a line of dialogue. What if there is no such thing as coincidence? Like, there's two different types of people in the world: the people that see miracles and the people that just see coincidences, right? Um, as an older person who's seen a lot of stuff that often doesn't make sense and lines up just too perfectly, synchronicities is what I'll call them. I didn't hate that as much, so I've had to totally reevaluate my thoughts on this film after rewatching it a couple days ago. Um, so I'm not gonna bury the lead or the spoilers on that until it's rating time.
Well, I'm glad that you changed your tune a little bit at least, because I was going to rip you a new one. I was going to Imogene Poots in Green Room you.
That's
Because
fair.
that's one of the best parts of this entire movie. So 2022's Signs sci-fi thriller, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's back-to-back movies we watched that have good ratings. Um, this is one of my favorite yearly movies. Like we talk about movies that we watch every year. This is a fall classic in our house. This is every October. It's my wife's one of her favorite films, and watching it with her and our girls. And that's what's great about it is as a horror film, you can watch it with your family because there's nothing really too scary. I mean, the dogs, that's obviously terrible anytime it happens in any movie, but for the most part, there's not a whole lot of cussing. There's the scene where ready for an ass whooping. I cursed. I heard that line cracks me up every time. Um, the acting in this movie from the kids, like TJ said, the Culkins can act. This is a family of born actors. Rory Culkin is fantastic as the kid in this. Even the part where he breaks down and yells at his dad, and the crying, the scene at the table where they're basically having their last supper, and it's what everybody wanted, and nobody can eat because they're so terrified of what's happening. The build up in this movie is so good. This for me is peak M. Night Shyamalan. Everyone talks about The Sixth Sense. That's like number 5 on my list of his best movies, with Signs being number 1. And the reason is the writing is so good in this movie. The only weak part is M. Night Shyamalan in his scene in the truck. He's such a dry actor. You don't have to be in your movies. You can cast somebody else. It's fine. But it's so well acted. It's so well paced. You go through and it reveals a little bit at a time, and none of it makes sense. It all just seems quirky. The quirkiness of the girl, that she can't drink the water. Well, the aliens have a severe, deathly allergic reaction to water, and so all these glasses of water sitting around the house
Which is
are
a callback to War of the Worlds, which they mention, because water's what killed them.
right.
Yeah.
So, and not just that, like the scenes with the wife, who keeps seeing a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's this obviously it's him losing faith in God, because why would you take my wife? And then the last time I get to see her, and she just speaks gibberish. None of this makes sense. Even if you take the faith out of it and you turn it into more of the thing he says about whether there's everything's just a coincidence or there are no coincidences, and that all of this was set in motion basically from before they even had kids, because you have Rory Culkin having the asthma that ends up saving his life when the alien sprays him with that mist. It's the alien that he cut the fingers off earlier in the film when reaching under the door. Everything that happens in this movie has a purpose, and it's so hard to do that as well as this movie does, where there's not really a whole lot of stumbling blocks. Like there's not really anything you can point to where like, oh, that was weak or that wasn't needed. Like everything built up, even the part where he's in the army recruitment place and the guy, oh, I know you. You hit the longest home run. Yeah, I still got the bat. Of course, he would keep that trophy because he never made it because they make the point of saying the other guy saying, yeah, well, he also has the most strikeouts in history, and he said it felt wrong not to swing. Even that little line comes back to pay off later when he tells him to swing away. It felt wrong not to swing. This is his chance to swing for one last time.
That other guy was Michael Showalter from Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh,
I should probably watch that. You've never
It's
seen
great.
it? No, I haven't.
The show's great too, but I
I
digress.
want to watch. I've seen clips and it looks hilarious. But
wasn't he
um,
also in like, was it The Whitest Kids You Know or one of those sketch comedy
He looks like that
groups?
guy, but I don't think it's the same dude. But I know he looks like one of the guys that was.
He was in
that.
The State.
The State, that's who it
State,
was. Yeah.
Sorry, Kellen.
no, you're fine. I'm right on track with where I was going to be anyway. The alien reveal when it shows it is one of the greatest reveals in movie history for me because it's so subtle. It's so simple. It reminded me of Independence Day with the ships in the sky where the bird hit the ship and just fell.
Which appearance are you talking about?
Like at the birthday party.
The very
on
first
top of
one
the
on the
house,
news. Yeah,
on
the
top
very
of the
first.
house. Oh, okay.
No, the very first reveal where we
Gotcha.
actually see the alien.
Vominos,
Which-
children, vominos. Yeah.
Yes.
Which
And
I
Behind!
think
That
that was a
scene-
takeoff on the Bigfoot footage from the 70s too, because it's the same kind of walk.
except it was very clear. There was
That's
no
true.
blurry Bigfoot in this. It was a perfect shot of what the aliens look like. And that acting by Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic for such a simple scene. The way he gasps and jumps back, you really think that he just saw an alien, like an actual live alien. Um, the way they build the tension with the aliens trying to break into the house, they've boarded up, they've done everything they can, they get in the house, they make their way to the basement, like all of that builds up so much tension, and it does something that I usually hate, where they kind of cut away and you don't really get to see what's going on because it's a movie, it's supposed to be visual. But when they are in the cellar and the flashlight drops and you just see the hand and then you just hear the commotion, you don't really see anything. It's so well done to build that same kind of tension, like John was saying, "Vamonos, children, vamonos." It's like, what's happening? Like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? What's going on? Um, like I said, this movie for me is just borderline flawless for what it is, for that kind of sci-fi thriller. To be as simple, this Pennsylvania farmer who's lost his faith, just wants to grow corn and be left alone. People still see him as the town priest. Um, the way that the story starts to unfold and things all of a sudden start to make sense when we get that final clip of him talking to his wife and we hear the actual conversation that she had with him, and then it gets to the alien that they think it's the all clear, and then the alien's there in the living room. It's just for me, this is just such a fantastic film. And I talked about it in the last episode. Rewatchability on this, like I said, we watch it every year. It's so high because it is so well acted. It's so fun. The building up to it and then catching all the things. And I think for me, the reveal in this, the way this is paced is so much better than The Sixth Sense because The Sixth Sense doesn't have a lot of rewatchability once spoilers, Bruce Willis is dead. Once you know that, it kind of takes away the fun of the whole movie. Knowing that aliens are going to be in this movie doesn't take away the fun because it's, like I said, it's so well acted. Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic. Abigail Breslin, fantastic. Rory Culkin, fantastic. Mel Gibson, before he became a drunk Holocaust denier, fantastic. And he's still a great actor. If you watch any of his recent movies, a lot of it is kind of like the Bruce Willis stuff where it's, straight to video kind of stuff, but he's still a fantastic actor.
Watch Fat Man, where he plays like an action Santa Claus.
I did watch it. It was fantastic because he's amazing. And Like I said, I can't say anything bad about this movie. I was kind of the opposite. The first time I saw it, I was kind of just like blasé about it. Um, because I wasn't really paying attention. And then watching it with somebody who really enjoyed it, and then actually sitting and paying attention to the writing and paying attention to the way the scenes build upon each other, and this movie slowly builds up to the ultimate climax was just so good. Um, that, like I said, I don't mind watching it every single October. So yeah, I love this movie.
Spoilers. Yeah, this is M. Night Shyamalan's best movie. I love it.
Here.
I movie. I've got the score. I listen to the score to this so much that it's like one of those things where I almost have like the fucking cues in my head randomly. Some weeks it just comes into my head. I hear it so much. My friend Dustin and I used to listen to this score all the time before we could find it on CD.
I have a
Um,
question. Do all the rest of you three think this is M. Night's best film?
I do. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the first. It's my first note is I love this movie. My favorite M Night movie.
Wow. Okay.
You know, part of what I like about this so much is that it's so normal. It's so like awkward and quiet in the beginning. It sets up so normally their lives, everything you see. It's very real. It's kind of like the acting, the way that characters interact. It's normal. It's kind of awkward at times. They say funny things. Even when you see the first crop circle. And first off, crop circles are really, when you break it down, that's some of the creepiest fucking shit on the planet. Because we still don't know what that is to this day. And we don't know if this might be something that will actually happen one day, right? Um, the dog growling at the beginning, that got me because I forgot that was going to happen, and I jumped when he like did that scene. The one thing about that is it was right at the beginning, so it wasn't as much of a gut punch. It was like it's over with, and I know at the end you hear the dog whimper, which you don't see it. Maybe the dog got away. I'm gonna choose to believe it did. But I was reading about the animals, how apparently the reason they acted this way is because they could not only hear the aliens, but they could see their camouflage. So that's why they were acting insane. It started making them crazy because they couldn't trust anybody. So it wasn't like they were poisoned. It was just that they could see everything. So they almost started going nuts because they didn't know who to trust, which is kind of sad if you think about it. I did, every time I see this movie with the female cop, I cannot help but think of Scary Movie.
Where the hat gets bigger.
Where the hat gets bigger. Yes. It's so funny. The hat keeps getting bigger. I always think of that now. I don't know why. But what's nuts about this is something to where if this happened and we found out UFOs were real, I feel like our society now, it wouldn't even be the top story in the news. It would maybe trend for a few days and then people would forget about it. That's how insane our society is.
Anything to ignore the Epstein files.
Right.
Alien
I'm sorry, the
invasion.
what?
Exactly.
Right. The army recruiter guy, that is still like the funniest thing to me, that guy. He's so weird. What's that line? He says, getting your toes licked by some beautiful women. I'm like, what? Like, it's such a funny bit of writing, such a quirky character. And Mel Gibson's great in it. Everybody, the acting is great. I thought the scene where him and Joaquin are talking late at night watching TV and they're talking about the two types of people. I thought that was honestly, that's like the kind of acting that if he got nominated for an Oscar, I wouldn't have been offended by it because like that's just great. I mean, this movie was not going to get nominated, but if it would have been, that's what you would have picked. Um, M. Night, I think he's fine in it. I think it's probably his best cameo because he gets to actually do something. The tension.
Why does he peel out though? That
Right.
always has bothered me because he's talking so calmly. Oh, by the way, there's one in my pantry. And then he just takes off, almost runs over Mel Gibson's leg.
Yeah, that is very random. He just leaves right when he drops that nugget. I think the way the tension and the music builds everything, it's so good. Even when you see the point where the TV, it's on the emergency broadcast system, he opens the window and the crickets aren't making noise. That's when you know it's fucking bad. When you don't hear the crickets and all, it's like, oh God, this is real, you know? And I think
That's
that's
normally a sign for storms. When a storm's coming, you don't hear crickets or frogs anymore outside.
right, exactly. One thing you see a lot in the HD version of this, like you see the camo hand of the alien, like in the basement when he's near the air vent. You can see that on the 4K, which it's 2002, right? The CGI, the aliens, I mean, it's 2002. It is what it is. I'm not going to critique it. I think they do it pretty well because they kind of shadow the alien a lot of the movie, so you don't see a lot of it. But, overall, I think the whole story just works. And I feel like, you know, it's kind of a perfect movie. I really can't pick it apart. I think even the awkwardness of it works. And it's a movie that just, the music, the suspense, the acting, and the way it kind of pulls at your emotions, it just all comes together. So I love it. So,
Yeah, again, I love this movie easily. I saw it in theaters. It scared the piss out of me because aliens have always been something that has I've been afraid of.
Did you bring your cologne gun to
I
the
did not
theater?
bring my cologne gun. If you don't know that reference, Weirdo's a podcast, Kelly and I's first podcast. We talk about aliens in one, and I was scared to death. There was a incident in Lake County movie. It wasn't even a movie; it was like a short. It came on UPN or something one night when I was at my grandmother's when I was young, and it was the most terrifying thing. I refuse to watch it again, not because I'm scared, but because when I watch it again, I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous, and I don't want that. I don't want that taken away from me, you know. But it scared the hell out of me, and the only thing I had to protect myself was a cologne gun from Avon. So, but that's another story for another day. This movie is so damn good, and it's so well written and acted, and the scenes are terrifying. And it's just riddled with great scenes, like the aliens standing on top of the house when they look out the window. Um, the birthday party still haunts me. You see pictures, memes on Instagram where it's someone with M9 is like, "Thanks for all the nightmares," and it's the picture of that alien walking like it's behind. Like it's such a terrifying scene. My favorite scene of the entire film is when they go outside and run around the house to try to scare off the Wolfington brothers. That scene is so brilliant and the dialogue is brilliant and he's just like, I'm insane with anger, and like it's just so fun. um Mel Gibson also looks like a priest or a preacher to me. Like when he put that on it in the movie, I'm like, yeah, like I can see this. It makes sense in the South especially. But the basement scene with the coal chute was terrifying, which I don't have the 4K, so you say you can see the camo on like a glove when the hand grabs him. Yeah, it's terrifying scene. That whole as soon as they go down there, you're like, okay, there's a chimney, there's something there that they're going to be able to get in. The fact that the aliens were making noise and pretending to try to get in the door so they could actively search for another entrance, great. Um, it being surrounded by cornfields adds that extra element of horror and fear to me because you can't see over it. So you don't know what's in there. And we have been trained for us since our conception that cornfields are scary and bad things happen in them. It's in our DNA to think that. And off the top of my head, this is probably the most terrifying cornfield in a movie. Like Children of Corn, sure, but as kids, I could take a kid. Like, sorry, I could kick Malachi in the head and move on with my day. But the wife scene was tough. Um, M. Night is just such a good storyteller, and I know he gets a lot of shit, and his stuff has fallen off over the years. I agree. I think Trap was fantastic, though, which was his latest thing. I think he has fallen off a little bit, but that's because he came out firing on all cylinders. He gave us The Sixth Sense, which is one of the most talked about horror movies of all time, right? Because of how it ends. It's such a twist. And it's like, oh, it's a twist, like Robot Chicken when they have little M. Night puppet. It's a twist. Always Sunny did an episode. Um, like he came out and became iconic with his first film. I like The Village too. That's one of my favorites as well. But yeah, this movie is perfect to me too. Um, my only knock is the dog stuff, and yeah, we don't get to see it actually happen. We just see one with a knife in its neck, and we hear the other. Yeah, I'm sure that dog got out, John. Sure, but it did. But that's my only knock on it. So that right there is going to take a half a point. But other than that, this movie, just like when we talked about Green Room, is close to perfect for me. So we'll go around, give our rankings, and we'll close up shop. TJ.
Man, if you had asked me a week ago, I would have said 2.5, maybe 3, if I'm being generous. But this just hit different for me when I rewatched it. And hearing all you talk about it the way that you have, I'm teetering between a 3.5 and a 4 now.
Oh, we'll call it a 4. Next. Uh, no, give it a 3.5 if you wanted to give it.
I think a 4 is fair.
We made progress here tonight.
When we did when I look at the whole oeuvre of M. Night Shyamalan films, it's like he started really strong, and then pretty much everything after this I didn't like for a lot of years, and then I liked when he started going back to the Unbreakable universe, because Unbreakable for years was my favorite M. Night film. It might still be, to be fair, the first one, because it's just nothing was like that at that point in time, and that predated the whole comic book craze and everything. It was even before Fox started remaking comic book movies like X-Men and whatnot. So I think he was ahead of his time there. But four is fair.
Kellen, I think Split's better than Unbreakable, by the way.
See, I have it backwards. I have Signs, Unbreakable, Split, Trap, and The Sixth Sense. That's my M. Night Shyamalan. The Village is right up there. It could probably switch between The Sixth Sense and The Village because I thought The Village was very well
hated
acted.
The Village, so I probably need to revisit The Village now.
It was another one of those ones where that one though for me was a lot more predictable. That reveal at the end wasn't as surprising, but this one I love because it's the reveal that you want. Like you want there to be aliens at the end of this movie, and it's building up to show you that there's going to be aliens. So when it finally happens, you're like, yes, aliens. It was aliens.
Well, this wasn't like a surprise, like gotcha ending, like a lot of his movies started to
No,
become.
this was more about the build up to the reveal of the aliens and everything that happened that led to the moment where he could save his family. For me, I'm not even gonna knock off a half a point because the dog thing is done by aliens and they got their comeuppance. Of course, they'll probably come back and wipe us all out. But because of the rewatchability, because this is a family favorite for me, I'm gonna do something that I haven't done in a long, long time, and I'm giving this a 5. Because I mean, I cannot take anything away from this movie. It's well acted, it's well written, it's well directed. I mean, like even John said, the awkwardness, it feels like a family that's trying to get over losing the mom and he's trying to navigate not being a preacher anymore and trying to raise the kids and Meryl being the kind of goofy uncle. I mean, it just, the whole family dynamic is perfectly acted and portrayed. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5.
So sorry if I sound like a drunk accordion this episode. I've had a cold all week, so that'll be some fun to hear me. Yeah, you said 5, and all I can think of now is like Varsity Blues, where what's his name? This guy, I fucking 10. I don't know why, just in my head that went to that. Yeah, it's a perfect movie, and I'm with you. It's a 5-star movie. It's an imperfect, perfect movie, and yeah, no notes. Yeah.
Fuck.
Wow.
Make me break my rule tonight because I will. Since you guys went 5, I'm going 5 because I
Wow.
absolutely love this movie. And
I can't go 5 with you guys, but it's a good movie.
yeah, that's fair. Like I said, we made progress with you, so I'll take that. So that puts us like a 4.75. We're just going to call this one a 5 since it's closer. But anyways, yeah, I love this movie and rewatchability's there. Yeah. So anyways, that's it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Join our Facebook group. We have an Amazon Music playlist, which features songs score from the score that John has elegantly showed us earlier. So check that out as well. All right, signing off. I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and TJ. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.